Hey there, sports fans. Welcome to the video. You're seeing the grid there for Heat 1 of the Lydd Club 100 Heavyweight Sprint Series. And right at the back of it is yours truly, Tom Angier, Grubby Mango. And so here we are rolling up to the line, and it's going to be pretty difficult from here. Lydd, I found, is not a particularly easy track to overtake on, but we're away, and Lydd goes through, first of all, a couple of chicanes. So the pack kind of bumbles its way through hairpin chicane 1. We're going to bumble our way through chicane 2. There's a little bit of contact just ahead of us, so we're going to see if we can take advantage of that. Going around the outside, not a very good idea. We have to back out of it, and we get pushed wide again. And unfortunately, this means that we are going to continue to be, there we are, absolutely dead last. So I suppose, so far, as the pack all files into a single file, I suppose what we've done is held position, but unfortunately that position is last. So we're going to have to try and see if we can do anything about these guys. So into the first chicane there. Just, I think, like with regard to these chicanes, it's all about prioritising the exit. But just here, I don't know if you heard that, I was probably talking over it, but the engine just died and cut out. So it's a really odd one. This kart didn't do that again. The kart was fine for the rest of this heat, but it's just a really odd one there. I might have been leaning on a lead or something like that. But we're up the inside of this guy here. So we're up one place, which is obviously pretty terrific news, and we're in the toe down the back straight here. Now the toe today, we had a headwind down this straight, so the toe was really powerful, but we haven't quite got enough to do anything about this guy in front on this lap. Just going to push him over the line here, really into these chicanes. There's only one line, unless you've got a massive overspeed on someone. It's very unlikely you're going to make anything happen. Just nibble into the back of the guy in front, and again that kind of ruins our opportunity to go for a move, but the guy in front makes a move on our behalf, and we'll have both of those positions. Thanks very much. So now we're up 3 positions from our start, and you can see that in doing that we have got a few kart lengths gap between us and the group in front, the gaggle of karts in front. Not sure what the connective noun for a group of karts is, but I'm going to call it a gaggle. If you've got any other ideas, then please feel free to put them in the comments. What are we calling a collection or group of karts? Got an owl, owls are parliament of owls, isn't you? School of fish. Head down, and we have managed to close the gap here. This is James in front of us, but we don't get a great exit on the second chicane, and we don't get an exit around this this back corner. I'm always tempted to call it a hairpin. So not a great couple of corners there, and you can see that the gap has increased again. So we're going to have to wait another lap at least before we can do anything about these guys up ahead. Lydd, I have to say, by the way, really interesting track. Very high speed. Your averaging speeds. Your average speed is over 50 miles an hour. I'm not certainly not an expert in Lydd. This is the first sprint I've done here. I did actually do the SP60 a couple of weeks ago in preparation for this race. So not actually the first time I've been here. Let's see if any of that experience can help now. We go up the inside of James, but James hangs it around the outside. He's now going to be quite tight into this corner here, and we're right in the toe. So we go to the inside, and there is an overtaking opportunity just here. Side by side on the way in, he moves to the apex. We're there, and we do make some contact. James is still behind us. He didn't get spun out or anything like that. I'm not sure if I should have given the place back for that. I kind of felt that I was far enough alongside to sort of justify a bit of space there. I'm guessing that James didn't know I was there. I don't think afterwards when we spoke, I don't think he knew that I was there. And certainly into this corner here, he knew I was there. on this time, and he gave me space here, didn't he? James is a really fair driver, really friendly guy as well. So one of the themes of this video, I think, is about kind of overtaking and overtaking aggression. And as a newcomer to Club 100, I'm really interested to know what you guys think. How much aggression is sort of required or acceptable. I thought that was okay, but I don't like to make any contact with anyone if I can help it. I like nice clean overtakes. Although I appreciate rubbing is racing some of the time, isn't it? So we're up against another couple of guys now, and we're going to try and do the same thing. Really neat and tidy into this section here, with a view to trying to get a really good run down this straight here. Now, the guy goes to the inside. We're going to see if we can skip through as well, but we're not actually alongside. We're not even quite halfway alongside, so we just pull to the right and we let this guy go back through. Again, over the course of a day, I saw other people just sort of leaning into opponents there and trying to push their way through. I gave that place back because I wasn't quite as far alongside as I felt that I perhaps could have been. But again, like I say, tell me in the comments, do you think that I was too aggressive in the first one? Do you think I wasn't aggressive enough just then? It'd be really interesting to get people's viewpoints on this. Guy in front goes defensive. We're going to try and get in his toe. You can see the power of the toe. If that was a sort of slightly longer straight, then we'd be it's almost like having DRS, isn't it? Lydd, not a particularly easy track to overtake. So before this race, my first Club 100 round was Bayford Meadows, and Bayford's one of those interesting tracks where almost every corner can potentially be an overtaking spot. This is an overtaking spot here. We're going to go for the move up the inside. We're sort of on the curb, and on the exit we just get pinched narrow, so we don't get the best exit. We're going to yield that one early on as the bark chippings get kicked up, and we're going to go for a better exit here. Now the guy in blue goes defensive. We've got a really good run down this straight, so braking late, giving room on the inside, but we're just getting slightly pushed wide there, and I didn't get a penalty for going off track. I think the marshals saw that I was sort of moved off track there and didn't really have any other option. Unfortunate one that really. There's a whole load of carts in front of us that we could potentially do something about, but it is the last lap, and this guy goes very defensive into this corner here, so we're going to go for the better exit again, and just over the brow of the hill here, we get a good move done into that corner, and now let's see if we can do anything, or we can pick up any scraps from the impending battle ahead. Carts all over the place, cone goes flying, but unfortunately that's it. End of heat one. We just needed a few more laps. Like I say, it wasn't easy to overtake these guys. If you're stuck behind someone for a lap or two, then it's potentially going to cost you quite a lot of time. This is heat 4 now, so this is our second heat. We're not starting last this time, but we are of course starting towards the back. I think we were starting 17th, something like that. Again, we're on the outside, and you can see that the outside doesn't get a particularly good. We're on the even side. Oh, we can't be 17th actually. We don't get a particularly good start. That guy there gets an even worse start. He gets the cone stuck under his wheel, and that spins him round. We've got Tom Jobson just on the inside of us, and we go around the outside. So we're up sort of 3 places already. Get a pretty good run on this guy here, just moving all over the back of him. Move to the inside, but we just get pinched to the apex, so we have to yield that one. Unfortunate that we can't quite get the exit down into this corner here, but again, you can see the quality of the toe down into this corner. So a better start to this heat than heat 1. We started further up the grid anyway, and then we also ended up doing a slightly better start as well. that there, we've got some yellow flags. That's for the guy who had the cone underneath his wheel. So that's not an additional place gained or anything like that. Going all the way to the left, using all of the track on the way in, with the hope of getting a good exit. Going to try and do this guy on the brakes, but again he turns in. We were further alongside that time, but didn't quite work out for us. The next overtaking opportunity is at the end of this straight, so we're in the tow again, get a good exit. We're on the inside line here, and this one's a nice clean move into the right-hander, double right-hander, and that's job done. So now we've got another group of sort of 5 karts ahead of us, and then there's another 3 ahead of them. I'm not sure if there's anyone else ahead of those guys. Probably there is, I would have thought. It's just nibble into the back of this guy. This guy in front, I recognise the helmet and the overalls. We had a really good battle with him in Heat 2 our second heat at Bayford Meadows, actually. So I know this guy's going to be quick. We just get moved off, though, slightly by the guy behind. And you can see how much time that's cost us. This is very much a momentum-based track. And if you lose any kind of momentum, you say, oh, what have you lost there? Maybe 4 kart lengths, just by that small amount of contact, side-by-side action between myself and the driver behind. Yeah, quite a significant time loss there. So we're going to have to try and rebuild or reduce the gap to this group in front. I mean, the good news is that we're not the only people who are fighting. Again, you can see there that we've just it costs us loads of time. We're going to end up just yielding that one, but unfortunately I didn't realise there's 2 guys there. So we end up losing 2 positions. But what we're going to do, I know that this guy Applewood on the back of his overalls, he's going to be pretty handy. There he makes some space for himself, and we follow him through. So I could sort of almost see that happening. So again, I mean, I think that was probably a little bit more aggressive than my move on James in Heat 1. So yeah, like I said, just trying to develop a little bit of an understanding as we just take another hit there, which costs us a bit of time. Trying to develop a little bit of understanding about how much rubbing is racing. I'm very much of the opinion that you need to be playing fair, otherwise there's literally no point in turning up. There's no kind of glory in winning by taking someone else off. But we have lost a little bit of time in this. A small amount of contact between myself and the guy behind is costing us the opportunity to fight with these guys. So you can see that when we get a clear couple of corners, we do have the pace to catch up to them. Of course, they are fighting, like I mentioned earlier. Space opens up on the inside, and we're going to try and take advantage of that. There are some hands being thrown there, not really sure why. We go to the inside to try and make up another place. I think this is Josh, actually, who was my buddy in Bayford. We have to yield that one. He hung it around the outside, so good move from him. We were side by side, just trying now, seeing if we can make a move just like we did before. It doesn't quite work out this time, and again, all of these sort of little half moves or moves that don't come off are really sort of problematic in making progress, particularly in these short heats. I think you've got to either kind of go balls deep into a move and make sure it works. Any kind of half-hearted moves or moves that don't come off just cost you so much time. Like I said earlier, this isn't my first time. I'm going to try and prioritise the exit here now. And in fact, so on the gas nice and early, it works, but it works too well, and I hit the back of the guy in front here, and that puts pay to any attempt to get by into the double right-hander at the end of the track there. I was looking at the times. I'm actually quite a lot slower in these races than I was on my first attempt coming to this track a couple of weeks ago for the SP60, and I think that's possibly because of all of the fighting. You just don't get any kind of rhythm at all. You really don't get any kind of single clear lap. In terms of track conditions and ambient temperature and things like that, pretty similar. The fastest guys were doing pretty similar times to a couple of weeks ago, but I got slower, and I think that's possibly because I'm doing an awful lot of fighting. Hopefully it's I haven't got any slower. I might be a bit slower. Hopefully not though. As another lap goes by, and there's a whole host of us all together now. I think there is a load more karts who have detached themselves from this battle in front of us as we find a space up the inside. Two karts just in front of us get together. Actually, we have to go around the outside. The outside's not really the ideal place to be. We're getting forced onto the grass here. We're actually 3 wide, and we're sort of still 3 wide. There we are. We have to yield. The bark chippings get kicked up in our face again, and unfortunately we lose a load of places again. It's unbelievable, really, isn't it? How much just a little bit of poor positioning can cost you. We're back up the other one. I think that we've done this guy a couple of times. This guy in the black suit. I think we've done him the same way a couple of times, sneaking by when someone else was making a move. This is the last lap now, and so it's kind of all or nothing. I did notice a little bit in today's racing that as soon as the last lap board went out, the rule book kind of went out the window. So prioritising a better exit down here again, seeing what we can do. I'm going to back out. I don't want to be on the outside there. That's going to spell disaster. But into the double right-hander, we're now 3 wide up ahead. Matt Horgan gets shoved to the outside, and I'm not sure what you can say about that, really. Not sure how much braking was getting done behind us. To be fair, I've no idea what happened behind us. You know, maybe that guy got a big old hit himself. But yeah, last corner there, a bit of a mess. And we're on to our third and final heat of the day here. So once again, we're right at the back of it. I started 14th in that second heat, by the way, not 17th. I'm starting 17th now, which again means back row, but this time we're on the right hand side, so we're not quite last, but twice on the back row, and once I think I started 14th. So we're going to see how we can get on with this one. Again, it's the usual kind of bumbling of karts into the chicane. That cone, that poor bastard cone, has really taken a hit today, hasn't it? James does us around the outside. That's a good move from him. No idea how many places I've gone up. I think it was Lee Barrow who had the cone stuck underneath him. We got a big hit, one guy into the barriers there. I think it was contact with this guy up ahead. These two are now going to go side by side, so just give a little bit of space on the entry. I'm just feathering the throttle here. Guy on our left gets moved off onto the grass, and the friction between the bumpers gives us the opportunity to take the pair of them. So probably our best start of the day, actually. A couple of other drivers had a little bit of bad luck, but we managed to sort of take advantage of that. So we're up a few positions, but again, we've got a little bit of work to do in order to catch James ahead. So James is a C3 driver, just like me, so he is in the same race, essentially. I know we're obviously all in the same race, but we are in the sort of same class, if you like. So it is important that we try and catch up to James and do something about him. As you can see, it's not going to be easy. We've lost the toe. I'm not sure how much the toe would have been worth today, but I'm gonna hazard a guess of half a tenth. No, hang on. No, not half a tenth. Maybe 2 or 3 tenths, something like that. That would be. I think that's potential. We certainly seem to be making half a kart length down that back straight. Yeah, you can see quite a few karts up ahead of us. If we can just string together a few good corners, get a little bit of momentum, we might be able to cruise up to the back of them if they start fighting. So here's hoping. in terms of the start to Club 100, I have to say I really enjoyed it. Things did get a little bit more physical today, certainly. My introduction to Bayford was, I thought everyone was really gentlemanly, really good. Well, I know there weren't any girls, weren't any ladies in these races. Actually, I think there might be some in other parts of Club 100, but I thought everyone was really good, really courteous. Not a criticism in any way, shape or form, but there was definitely some more robust moves being made today, which was sort of good to see. I guess it is part and parcel of being a track which is a little bit more difficult to overtake on, and it's going to be very difficult to make clean moves, and I suppose you've got to accept that there's either going to be a little bit of contact or you're not going to make any progress at all, and you'll notice that the really fast guys are the sort of guys who are prepared to perhaps make a little bit of contact, but I wouldn't say I saw anything really unfair or anything like that. But again, like I said earlier, do stick it in the comments if you've got comments on what you saw regarding the level of contact. So we've got our head down for a lap or two now, and we're after James. So he's sort of a little bit aware now. He's turned around and he's seen that we're there. So it always makes sense, I think, if you do get to the back of someone, to try and get past them as soon as possible. If you spend too long behind them, it's going to make it very difficult. You're going to lose your momentum. So we're going to go to the inside here. We're going to see if we can do James on the brakes. Now, we do get up the inside, but our bumpers just get caught together there. And that, again, therefore, doesn't become a clean move. So we just roll off the throttle and we give that place back. I think in normal circumstances, I probably wouldn't have given that place back. I would have said, we're sort of both going for the same bit of track. But James is a really fair driver himself, and we did make a little bit of contact in our first heat together. So I felt, on balance of things, worth giving it back to him. So I waved him back through. And we're going to have another go. We're going to regroup. So he gaps us a little bit there in the beginning of that chicane, and we sort of try and lose a little bit of speed early on, and then go for the exits a little bit more. James is wise to us now. So this is the problem. We made a move which didn't quite come off, and now James knows our tricks. So he knows where to defend. We're going to see if we can go down and shape him up into this chicane. We get into the toe again. I would say that this kart perhaps didn't quite have as good top end as the previous two karts that we had. We don't seem to be making as much progress in the faster parts of the track, but I would say the bottom end, like here, it probably had a stronger bottom end. Just get it wrong there, just brake slightly too late, and that ends up costing us a little bit of time. But you can see all of this battling with James. James is having to go offline now to defend from me. I'm having to go offline, just trying to put the frighteners on him. But again, this isn't helping us. And you see, if you look ahead, the pack ahead of us have dropped us here. So all of this battling, all of this messing about is sort of costing James and I any chance to go forward and do something about the guys up ahead. Now the guys up ahead are probably C2 and C1 drivers, so it's not necessarily a big problem, but of course it is always good to make as much progress as you possibly can, if it's all possible. Just getting to the back of James there, he got a little bit of a slide on mid-corner. That actually really disadvantages us in the possibility of going for another move. And you might have noticed there, I just got a slight tap. That means that the guys who I did have a decent enough gap over before I started battling have caught up. So now we've got quite a big problem here. We've got the problem of overtaking James up ahead, but we've also got the problem of making sure the guys behind don't get us. And we're on to the final lap here again, so this is our last opportunity to do anything. We get a good exit, but James covers off the inside line there. Not ideal for us. Again, we're going to try and go for a better exit. Can we do it? Or we're not quite alongside. James goes semi-defensive. We sort of go semi-defensive as well. Just looking up the inside line there, and then here we take quite a big hit actually from this guy, and we get moved off and we lose a position. We're now a long way away from James. Yeah, that's cost us a couple of seconds there. That hit. Yeah, unfortunately I was a bit frustrated to be sort of moved off there and to lose that place on the final lap. What's also very frustrating is my total lack of ability to do battery management. So unfortunately I didn't get the final. Qualified after all of that, P8 in the B final, and then this happened. Really delighted that was actually C3 pole. We ended up finishing P4 in the B final after picking off a couple of guys, and then we lost one place, and then a couple of other guys, 2 or 3 other guys, ended up having a little bit of contact, and we sort of took advantage of that. So classified P4 in the B final, which was a P1 in class. Absolutely delighted to get my first Club 100 silverware. Ever so sorry I couldn't show you the final, but thank you ever so much for watching. Really fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next one at Rye House.